Today, we are going to cover broken access control and a specific example of it known as an IDOR, Insecure Direct Object Reference. These both common vulnerabilities found in the wild, and understanding them is crucial for securing web applications. What is broken access control? Broken access control happens when an application doesn't properly enforce who can access what. This can allow unauthorized users to see or manipulate data that shouldn't be available for them. Imagine you are using a financial app and can suddenly see someone else's account details or make changes you shouldn't have access to. That is the danger of broken access control. It is fairly easy to make mistakes like this when developing the web application, which is why these issues are very common. We will see an example soon, but before that, let's clarify the difference between the IDOR and the broken access control. IDOR versus broken access control. What the difference? A lot of people mix broken access control and IDOR together or even consider them as the same issue, but they're slightly different. IDOR is a specific type of broken access control. In IDOR, an attacker can manipulate object references, like changing an user ID in the URL, to access someone else's data. It doesn't have to be an user ID actually, it could be any object like name, email, or even the file. Broken access control, on the other hand, is broader. For example, a broken access control issue could allow a normal user to access admin functions through the quote-unquote hidden endpoint. IDOR focuses more on objects, while broken access control refers to the wider range of access enforcement failures. There is an organization called OWASP Foundation that collects data from various websites, summarizes it by the vulnerability class, and publishes top 10 list of the most common vulnerabilities every 4 years. If we take a look into last 3 OWASP top 10 lists, we can see that these type of issues are ranked high. In fact, it has steadily moved up the ranks over the past 3 iterations of OWASP list. Knowing this is really important since we can determine how common we have a chance of finding these issues. Now that we know how common it is, let's talk about the more specific cases. I'm using a lab from Portsvigger Academy to showcase a basic unprotected admin functionality issue. The core problem here lies when user tries to access administrator panel endpoint, which can be found via the robots.txt file. Since we can access this as a regular user instead of an admin, it represents a serious security flaw. For the IDOR, let's consider a lab where a user ID is controlled by the request parameter. This is a simple example of the IDOR where you can leak the API key of the another user. In this case, the ID parameter is the username of the targeted user. Where to find broken access control and IDOR? Knowing where to look for those vulnerabilities will save you a lot of time and effort. You can find broken access control and IDOR vulnerabilities in several key areas, including the URLs, form fields, API endpoints, cookies and HTTP headers, multi-layer role systems, legacy systems, administrative interfaces, third-party integrations, and many more. How to test for broken access control and IDOR? To test for these issues effectively, having a proxy tool like Burp Suite is essential, because you need to intercept requests frequently and switch between your browser and the tool. Also, using browser extension like multi-account containers could save you a lot of time, especially when you're testing 3 or more roles. You could use 2 browsers or one in normal mode and other in the incognito, but using this extension will significantly reduce the time spent switching between the accounts. Also, feel free to check my video about the browser extensions if you are interested in that type of topic. Broken access control and IDOR can lead to serious consequences like unauthorized access, data manipulation, or even the privilege escalation or account takeover. That's why it's important to identify these vulnerabilities and fix them before the attackers can exploit them. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to check out the next episode in the series. See you there.